Hi, Sophie.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. I'm just trying to get these lives going. Live on YouTube. It won't want me to.
I'm just reading over the FAQ that Cameo provided.
Okay, so I do have a poll that I will release. So are you ready for me to go ahead and hit live now so we can get that going?
Sure.
Okay, great. All right. We're now live and we are recording. So we should see people start to filter in. Meantime, get this presentation. Great. So, hello everyone. Since you've joined early, we'll get started soon at 11. But in the meantime, let me just stop sharing really quick so I can get this poll out. We're very curious to see where people are, small business owners, when it comes to the California Relief Grant. Have you already applied? Do you need assistance? Do you plan on applying later in the week? So if you have a moment, feel free to just mark one of the questions or one of the answers to the poll question, and I will end the polling. Let's see, we can end it around 11:02, 11:03, and then we can start our presentation. And just a reminder, if at any time during the presentation you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to type them into the chat box, into the Q&A box, and we will be able to answer them during the Q&A session, which will occur towards the end of this webinar. All right. So yeah, I'll give about 1 more minute on the polling. If you didn't have a chance to get to it, not to worry. In my follow-up email, I can send the link to this question and you can answer it just through that form link. All right, we got about 15 more seconds. It looks like the current response we have is, I don't know. Please send me more information. Well, you're in the right place because you'll get some great information in this webinar. So I'll go ahead and end the polling for now so I can start our presentation. I shared the polling results, so you should be able to view them. All right. Great. So, hello everyone. Welcome to our California Relief Grant Insights webinar. We're so excited to have you this Wednesday morning. It's great to see you all. Just as a bit of more information, this program is administered by Lendistry and it's funded by the state of California. But seeing that we're one of the supporting partners, we found that it would be a great opportunity to share information with you via webinar surrounding this program. So before we get started, I'll give a brief introduction. My name is Asia Hankins, and I am the marketing assistant for TMC Community Capital. We're also joined by Sophie, who is the program assistant. Very excited to have her join us today. So first, I'll start off with our mission. Our mission is that we're a nonprofit online microlender focused on empowering underserved entrepreneurs. We provide fast and affordable online financing, and we foster financial stability among women-owned, low-income, and under-resourced small businesses in California. So to give you a sense of what we'll cover today, today's agenda for this webinar, we'll start off with the program timeline, then move into process overview, grant amounts, how to find a partner, when and how to contact us, resources, and lastly, the Q&A session at the end. So like I said, at any time you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and we will be able to answer those during the Q&A session. So to give you a sense of the timeline, on Tuesday, February 2nd, that is when round 2 officially opened at 8 a.m. And moving into when the program will close for round 2, that will occur on February 8th at 6 p.m. So the benefit of this application is that you can save for later. So if you start the application and you find out that you need to make some changes or scan more documents, you can go ahead and hit the save for later, but you just want to make sure that you confirm that you've submitted your application by February 8th at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Then during February 11th to the 18th, please look out for notifications surrounding round 2 selections. And those notifications are sent out on a rolling basis. You want to make sure that during that time period, you check your spam folder because you might receive your notification there. And in the application, you can select if you want to receive text notifications. I highly recommend that. Easy way to receive your status on the program via text notification as well as email. And then on February 22nd, if you were waitlisted for round 2, you will receive a notification then. And then on February 24th, if you were not selected, you would receive your notification then. So definitely recommend marking these dates in your calendars so you know when to expect a notification from Lendistry. All right. Next, we'll move into the process overview of basically how this program runs. So when it comes to round 1 and round 2, you submit your application and you upload your documentation in the application portal. And then Lendistry will assign a scorecard to each organization. We do not have access to how this scorecard is designed, but this scorecard will decide whether you are approved, waitlisted, or not selected. So if you are approved, super exciting news. You get to sign some additional documentation so they can go ahead and verify your business and then disperse funds through their distribution portal. So That's very exciting news. If you were not selected but you were waitlisted, you would be moved to the next round. So if you applied in round 1, you do not need to reapply for round 2. If you were waitlisted, you would automatically be moved to round 2 for consideration. And they don't recommend that you reapply, so only apply once. And then the third option is that if you did not meet the program's minimum requirements, you would be marked as not selected. You would receive that notification via email or text. And if you are just now applying, the process is the same for round 2 application. So you would apply, upload the documents, you would be scored by Lendistry, and then during the dates I mentioned in the previous slide, you would see whether you were approved, waitlisted, or not approved or not selected. So definitely want to make sure that you're keeping an eye out for those notifications. And so next, I'll go ahead and pass the baton to Sophie, and she'll discuss the grant funding structure.
Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. I'm Sophie. Thanks so much, Asia, for that first half of the presentation. Now I'll get into grant funding structure and the amounts of grants available to businesses based on their annual gross revenue of their last tax return. So the amount of grant funding that a business is eligible for ranges from between $5,000 to $25,000, and businesses are eligible based on their annual revenue as documented in their most recent tax return. So as you can see, businesses that had an annual gross revenue of between $1,000 to $100,000 in their most recent tax return, those are eligible for a $5,000 grant award, while businesses that had an annual revenue greater than $100,000 and up to $1 million, those are eligible for $15,000, whereas businesses that had an annual revenue that was greater than $1 million and up to $2.5 million, those are eligible for a $25,000 grant award. To apply for the California Small Business COVID-19 Relief Grant, you will need to do so through a partner, and you can find a partner by language or by county when you visit www.careliefgrant.com. And you're allowed to choose any partner that serves your area, whether that's by language or by county. We encourage you to choose the partner that you think best fits your needs. An important point I'd like to reiterate, just like Asia said before, is that you should not apply multiple times, only apply once, and that you should please apply through only one partner, not multiple partners. And please make note of your partner when you apply. You can apply through Cameo, which is cameo.mylendistry.com. But if you find that a different partner may better suit your needs, you're also welcome to do that. And in order to apply, you will need to sign into your partner's unique portal to upload your documents. And you can tell here at the bottom of the screen that you're signing into the correct portal by looking at the URL, which should include the partner name right before the words mylendistry.com. So as a supporting partner, we are a resource for you during this application process. There are a lot of resources on our website, tmccommunitycapital.org, under our California Small Business Relief Grants program link that will be able to answer many of your questions. You can also contact us if you have general questions about the grant and application process, if you need any help completing the application, if you need any access to alternative resources or language assistance, any questions about necessary documents, or if you need assistance correcting application errors after you've submitted your application. And it looks like Karima put it right in the chat. If you have any questions at all, you can email us at support@tmccommunitycapital.org. We have a lot of resources on our website for applicants, including downloadable application guides, um, uh, answers to frequently asked questions, as well as links to additional webinars and resources to help you through your application. So now this is our Q&A session, and we'd like to invite anyone who has questions to put their questions in the chat or in the Q&A box, and we're happy to answer any questions you have.
Well, while we wait for the questions to roll in, I just wanted to follow up Sophie's points with finding a partner. You can also look at partners based on the language services they provide. So I feel like this program does a really great job of being inclusive when it comes to different languages. So you can also search to see which organizations provide language services for the language you feel most comfortable reading documentation for applying for this program. So I feel like that's really great.
Looks like someone asked, can nonprofits apply? Yes, nonprofits can apply. There's a different application process, which is on our website, and that's clearly available to you. And yes, please apply if you're a nonprofit.
Yeah, on the top of our landing page, you can see the guide for applying as a nonprofit. So highly recommend reading through that whole document prior to applying, just to make sure you have all the correct information. Well, as we wait for additional questions, if you are like me and you're very curious about data about previous grant recipients from this program, the data is owned by the state, but they have released some data surrounding the individuals who were awarded grants in round one. So I would highly recommend looking into that online if you are curious. Just to see the types of businesses that were awarded grants. It was very nice to see a large amount of grants went towards minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, businesses that were in highly impacted industries affected by the shelter-in-place mandate. So highly recommend looking into that.
Asia and Sophie, we have a question. Do I have to be in operations to apply for this grant?
You don't necessarily need to be in operations right now, but you need to prove that you were in operations and that you were shut down by COVID, basically.
Yeah, they did say they do take into account your geographical location within California to see how you were affected by the pandemic, by different shelter-in-place mandates. So they do take that into account. And you do need to upload your full tax documentation so they can overview revenue, things of the sort. Can any industry apply? There are some businesses that are ineligible. So I would highly recommend that, just like in the chat box, you go to our landing page where you can view the eligibility requirements. They're also mentioned in the application guides for both all businesses as well as nonprofits, as far as which types of businesses are eligible and which are ineligible. So I would highly recommend that.
Asia and Sophie, another question. One of our participants is wondering, is the application in the will the application be translated to the language they speak, or will they be assisted with someone who speaks the language?
Sophie, do you happen to know if it's just technical assistance in these languages or if it's also translated into the application?
I'm not sure. I know that there are application guides for different languages, but I'm not sure if the application itself has been translated into different languages. But I also know that there are a lot of partners who can provide the resources for people who are not as comfortable in English to apply if it is the case that the application is only in English.
Mhm. But that is a good question. So, Karima, if you could mark that question down and we can check back into that, look into that, and we can send you a response later in the afternoon. But thank you for that question, Alejandro. Oh, and we got another question. How many businesses apply and how many will win approximately? In other words, what are the chances? So, like I said, because this program is funded by the state of California and also administered by Lendistry, supporting partners do not have access to all of the data, algorithm information. So we do not know exactly how many businesses will win because as Sophie mentioned with the grant structure, it depends how large the grants will be, and that will determine how far this round 2 funding will stretch. So it's difficult to tell you exactly what are the chances, but they did recommend us to encourage small businesses in California to apply. If you look through the eligibility requirements and you meet all of them, I definitely recommend applying because, best case scenario, you get a grant. Worst case scenario, you do not. But at least, especially with working with us as a supporting partner, we continue to update our resources that are available during this time period that can best serve small businesses and help them get through this challenging time.
Asia and Sophie, we have a follow-up. One of our participants is saying, my sales have significantly dipped due to COVID. Do they need to know what I will do with the grant? If not, can I use it for personal use?
There are stipulations about how the grant funds need to be used, and they're outlined on our website and documents linked on our website. I'm almost certain that the grants cannot be used for personal use, but need to be used for the business.
We have another question. Do we do PPP loans?
We do not do PPP loans.
Mm-hmm. But to counter that, we do have our microloan program, which is designed for small businesses in California. So I highly recommend you look into that, as well as we have a new COVID-19 recovery loan. Also another small business loan with deferment, very good interest rate, and it's designed to help small businesses through this challenging time and to keep in operation. So I highly recommend looking into both those resources. You can find those on www.tmccommunitycapital.org. And if you have any questions regarding those programs, feel free to email us at info@tmccommunitycapital.org or the support email and we'll be able to answer your questions and connect you with one of our team members. Oh, yes. And as Hannah put in the chat, to reiterate the previous question about funding of the program, the total is 500 million. So that is the size of the program in total between both of the rounds. And so I would still recommend applying in round 2 if you haven't applied in round 1 already, even if you think your chances aren't that high, because it's still good to give it a shot, give it a go. Yeah, any additional questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. In the meantime, I'm just looking up some of the eligibility requirements. I can address that question for you. Okay, great. Got that going. So when it comes to an eligible businesses for this grant, if you are a nonprofit but you're not registered as either a 501c3, 501c19, or 501c6, then unfortunately you would not be eligible for this program. Government entities other than Native American tribes or elected official offices are not eligible for this grant program. If your business is engaged in political or lobbying activities, regardless, even if you are a nonprofit, you would be ineligible for this program. Passive businesses like investment companies are ineligible, as well as financial businesses engaged in the business of lending, such as banks, finance companies. If your business is engaged in any activity that's considered illegal under federal, state, or local law. Businesses that are of prurient sexual nature are ineligible. Speculative businesses. So that gives you a sense of the types of businesses that are ineligible. But like I mentioned earlier, highly recommend looking through the full list in detail on our landing page just to make sure that you're eligible before you apply. How are grants selected? Are they first come, first serve, or by lottery? They are not first come, first serve, which is great because that means that you can take your time when it comes to applying for this grant program. So I highly recommend that you read through the application guide first, just to make sure that you are able to view all of the expectations, the eligibility. They've also included some application tips, especially when it comes to scanning in your documents. So you want to make sure you read through that. And so I would recommend getting all your documentation together first and then sitting down and applying. This program is not done by lottery either. As I mentioned, Lendistry has designed a scorecard. We do not have access to the information that is on the scorecard or the algorithm used for it, but basically they will score the applicants to see whether they are a good fit for the program. They meet all the eligibility and targets that they're trying to reach. And then depending on your score on that scorecard, you will receive the notification that you've either been approved for this grant or you have not been selected. So hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, they mentioned on their website that they are looking at the California's blueprint for safer economy and county status and the new regional stay-at-home order, as well as industry sectors to reach the most impacted industries during the pandemic, as well as underserved businesses, women-owned businesses, businesses owned by minorities, people of color, veterans, moderate to low income, as well as rural businesses or businesses that are in a rural location within the state of California. I also recommend that when you are on our landing page that you just take, and you're planning to apply, to read through and sign the correct application certification document. This is a part of the application process. So there's one for nonprofit businesses and there's another for for-profit businesses. So you definitely want to read through that and sign once you've read through the entire document. So then you can have it ready to go when you upload your documents for this program. And for your financial information, you want to make sure that your documentation is in PDF or JPEG format. Those are the preferred formats in the Lendistry portal. Like we mentioned, we recommend applying, if you feel comfortable, through our partner Cameo, the cameo.mylendistry. And if you apply through their portal, you definitely want to make sure that you have your documents in the correct file formats just to make the application process easier. So JPEG, PDF. This program also does require that you have some form of a government issue photo ID. So driver's license, passport, those are both examples of an acceptable form of a government photo ID, issued form photo ID, excuse me. I also did want to mention that if you are getting any error messages or cannot get into your portal, those would be good questions to reach out to the call center about. The call center is open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. However, when it comes to those other general questions that Sophie mentioned earlier, those are questions that you should ask us as a supporting partner. So I highly recommend connecting with us about that. And if we don't have any additional questions, we can go ahead and wrap this up early. You can go to our landing page and view other frequently asked questions or email us if anything comes up in the meantime. But, let's see. Very exciting upcoming daily webinars from a community partner, Small Business Majority. They will be covering COVID-19 Relief Grant Program Round 2 and other relief programs for California small businesses. These will occur the 1st through the 8th at 1 p.m. Every day during those times. And they'll cover the relief grant program as we did, eligibility, federal updates, overview of the application, required documents. So highly recommend registering and attending those, smallbusinessmajority.org/events. We have the English and Spanish version of the publicity here, which is great. And yes, thank you so much for taking your time out this Wednesday morning to join us for this webinar. We hope you enjoyed it. You will receive a follow-up email with the link to our YouTube channel. I always upload a recording of webinars onto our YouTube channel, so you can view it at any time. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to us via email. And yes, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you next time. Thank
Thank you, everyone.